Well, welcome back, everybody. Schuyler Callihan. It is Between the Ears. We are officially back, and we are back in full capacity. Last few months been crazy, dealing with the basketball coaching change, still getting caught up on all the recruiting stuff on the football side with transfer portals, signing day, all that stuff going on. Plus, we moved to a house, so obviously had a lot going on there with the little one. But we are now back in the saddle for good all the way through the end of football season. We will be recording and posting 3 shows per week. One will go up every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, with the exception of this week. We're starting here on Monday, but we'll be back tomorrow with another episode here on Between Years. Today, I've got so many comments, so many questions about this quarterback situation that I feel like it would be weird for me to start anywhere else but that quarterback room. And that's what we're going to go to today. We got Nicco Marchiol, Jaylen Henderson, Max Brown, Scotty Fox way down the depth chart, Khalil Wilkins way down the depth chart. But I'll give a little bit of what I know on each guy, where I think they stand, and really kind of reveal the full truth about this quarterback competition, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding out there by the fan base, and maybe it's reading certain things, or you're seeing a lot of posts on Facebook that are coming from spammers or whatever it is. I mean, folks, there's spam posts all over Facebook about Netflix documentaries by the WVU football team. There's the walk-on quarterback that signed a $75 million deal with Adidas or Reebok or whoever the heck it was. Clearly, it's not true. So I'm gonna kind of lay out a little bit more of the facts about what this quarterback battle looks like heading into training camp, and maybe even a little bit of I wouldn't say prediction, but kind of my gut feeling as to where things are today and how things could transpire in the weeks leading up to kickoff at the end of August against Robert Morris. So let's start first and foremost with the guy that everybody knows. It's Nicco Marchiol. He's been here for a while now. He was one of the top quarterback recruits in the country kind of when he came out. He was very heavily recruited, committed to Florida State, had a lot of other offers on the table. At the time, it was viewed as a massive get for Neil Brown. It kind of felt like he was the guy that was going to take the reins potentially from JT Daniels. Like, this was a legitimate conversation we were having before Garrett Green kind of asserted himself as the guy. It took Nicco a little bit of time to kind of really settle in at this level, adjust to the speed of the game, and really figure out how to be a quarterback. There's a difference between playing at the high school level and making plays and just out athleticizing everybody, and then coming to the college level where you have to make reads, your progressions, you have to understand coverages, understand where blitzes are coming from, understand how to slide protections, or understanding where your protections are. And it's a lot. It's 100 miles an hour coming at you as a true freshman. The game has slowly kind of come to Nicco each and every year. You started to see it in that it was 2023 season where he came in for the backyard brawl, kind of managed the game, really didn't really do a whole lot. They didn't really need him to do a whole lot because of the running game. The defense was playing well, and really they couldn't afford for him to get hurt either because, well, they were really thin at quarterback, so they didn't want to risk it. Same thing the following week, Texas Tech. Even though he got the start, they didn't ask him to do a whole lot, but it was not a great day for him. He had 2 picks, I believe, on that game. I think he was maybe a little bit above 50%. It wasn't great. This past year, when he stepped in for Garrett Green, whether it be in relief appearances or when the game was out of control or the start against Arizona, he started to show more of a maturity that we didn't really see in his game the previous couple of seasons. So, how does he fit in this Rich Rodriguez offense? Initially, I looked at it and said, probably not an ideal fit. You know, Rich Rod is a guy that likes to have a quarterback that likes to run the football. That's not saying that Nicco doesn't, but Nicco is a different style of runner than what Rich is accustomed to having in his offense. Having said that, the guy he just had last year at Jack State, Tyler Huff, is very similar to the way Nicco runs. He's big, physical, not going to outrun anybody, but he's somebody that's willing to do it. How many times have we heard it since he stepped back in Morgantown? He wants to have a willing runner at quarterback. Nicco is certainly that. My question is he somebody that you can rely on to run the football, say, 100-ish times? I don't know that we'll see him run it 150 or 200 times. I know they ran Tyler Huff a bunch last year, but they've got a lot of horses in this running back room. They've got Jaheim White, they've got Jalen Knighton, Dior Hubbard's shown a lot of progress this year, the redshirt freshman. They got Ty Edwards, the big bruising back from Northern Iowa. So they have several options to run the ball in the back, out of the backfield. They don't need Nicco to run the ball nearly as much as they did with Tyler Huff at Jack State last year. But can he still run it enough to where it's a integral part of their offense? It's going to keep defenses on balance. I think he can, but they've got to be very careful with it. It's not something that I feel 100% comfortable with. Again, he's not extremely fast. He doesn't got a ton of wiggle to him. So when there is the read game or there's an RPO, somewhat attached to a play, it's not going to be all that dangerous for a defense when Nicco were to pull the ball and tuck it and keep it himself. But it's something you have to have as an element of this game. I do think he can be somewhat of a decent runner to at least impact the game and keep defenses a little bit honest. But is it enough to beat out a Jaylen Henderson, a Max Brown? We'll see. For me, what Nicco has to do in fall camp is just be light years better than what he was a year ago as a passer. And that's not to say that he was a terrible passer this past year. He made a ton of strides. But I think you want to make sure that there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it when Rich Rod goes to make this quarterback decision. You want to be the best passer of this group. For Nicco, I think that's his best shot. Doesn't mean he has to complete 85% of his passes, but he needs to show that what he did against Arizona last year is something that he can build on and sustain moving forward. If that's the case, Nicco's going to be in a great spot. Now to Jaylen Henderson, Texas A&M transfer. Played at Fresno State, got a little bit of time at Texas A&M 2 years ago under Jimbo, got in the bowl game, got injured, fell on his arm, didn't really bounce back the same. He kind of had a little bit of a lengthy rehab in that offseason. Going into 2024, there's kind of a thought that he'd have a chance to start, but new head coach in place, Mike Elko, somebody that obviously didn't recruit Jaylen, so there wasn't that familiarity there. And he just didn't really fit. Didn't really fit the offense, didn't fit what they wanted to do, didn't really play. So hits the portal again. Has an opportunity to go to Liberty. Several other places were offering him as well. And he chose Morgantown. And I know that he had a chance to go to Liberty. And I know it's group of 6, whatever. But he had a chance to go there and start. He passes that up to come to West Virginia. Folks, I'm not saying that he's going to win the starting job. I'm not telling you that he's the favorite to win the job. But when a quarterback has 1, maybe 2 years left, if he gets a second year, we'll see, and he passes up on a starting opportunity somewhere else to come here, that's telling you something. That means Rich Rodriguez in his recruiting process told him, hey, you're going to have a chance to win this starting job. Nothing has been given to Nicco. Nothing has been given to anybody. You're going to come here, compete, and let the best man win. So I'm going to dispel all this BS that's out there now that Nicco's the starter. It's already decided. It's not decided, folks. If a first-year head coach comes in and has a completely new offense, has a quarterback room that none of which he has recruited, and all of a sudden has a starting quarterback after spring practice, then he better be damn Peyton Manning, or he better be Michael Vick, or he better be Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, or somebody like that. That ain't happening here. Now, can Nicco or Jaylen Henderson, Max Brown, any of these guys become a star, sure, but there's so much road in between where they are now and that being the end destination. So no, there's no starting quarterback named. Anybody that says there is full of crap. And if they want to come back and tell you whenever the quarterback gets named, maybe 5 minutes before kickoff, or maybe 2 weeks before kickoff, whatever the case may be, if they want to go back and pick you, or take back all the way to April or May or whatever, when they said, "Oh, I told you so," Nico was the guy or Jaylen was the guy. No, that was a prediction. Nothing has been settled. That would be insane for a quarterback battle to be decided after spring practice where not even your entire roster is there. So let's pump the brakes a little bit and go back to Jaylen Henderson. Jaylen's interesting because he's big, he's athletic, he can run. He probably fits a little bit better into what Rich Rod wants to do, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the guy. For me, I want to see where he's at as a passer. We kind of know where Nico's at. We can kind of project where Nico will be as a passer. We haven't seen Jaylen Henderson throw the football since 2023. So where is he in that over the last 2 years? Where has he developed his game? Is he better underneath? Is he better taking shots deep? How is he in the intermediate game? There's a lot of question marks surrounding Jaylen Henderson. Completely as a prototype, or if we just go off his skill set, like I said, I think he fits this offense really well. And I believe that's why he came here, because he sees the vision and thinks, hey, if I can win this starting job, I can not only win the job and be the guy, but I can maybe turn this into becoming a day 3 draft pick. That's a very real possibility. So for me, and I think a lot of people would agree, it's going to be between Nico, it's going to be between Jaylen Henderson. The third guy kind of lurking in the background that no one's really talking about, and understandingly so, is Max Brown, the Charlotte transfer. I I don't want to really kind of put him in the same group as Nico and Jaylen, just because I think it's going to be a tough battle to really kind of make up that ground. But he's had a lot of injuries throughout his career, and is coming from a really bad Charlotte offense where he really didn't have a lot of help. He was in and out of the lineup with injuries, just didn't ever really have that consistency there at Charlotte. But he started at Florida. He got his start at Florida. He played against Florida State. He was thought well of by the Florida coaching staff. That's somebody that doesn't mess around when they're trying to recruit a quarterback. The talent is there. It just hasn't been put all together. And I don't know if this staff can do it. I don't know if it's too late in his career for him to put it together. But it's somebody that you want to keep an eye on, because who knows, if he figures it all out, he could be something. So I think at the end of all this, what I'm trying to say here is this is the best quarterback situation that West Virginia's been in quite some time in terms of the overall depth of the room. I don't know that whoever ends up becoming the starter is going to be the next Clint Trickett, the next Will Greer, the next Geno Smith. I don't know that that's there. But speaking from a depth perspective, it is much, much better than those quarterback rooms were. Geno had Paul Millard behind him. Clint Trickett, you know. Um, I mean, even in recent years, Garrett Green last year, he had a young and inexperienced Nicco Marchiol. He had Khalil Wilkins behind that. Um, there was, Garrett Green when he was a pup. JT Daniels, that was kind of his guy, his backup. They had some other older guys in that room too, but nothing that you could technically rely on. So I think now you look at it as you have 3 quarterbacks in this room that have started the Division One level, that have shown some things at the Division One level, and you've got to feel somewhat okay about that, especially with a new coaching staff coming in. You have 3 options. You don't want to have just one. And again, that's another reason why this quarterback battle has not been decided. It has not been decided. So again, when somebody comes back to you or goes to you in August and tells you they told you back in May that it was already decided, they're full of it. Rich Rodriguez is about creating competition. That's why he went out and got Max Brown. When everyone thought it was going to be dead set between Nicco Marchiol and Jaylen Henderson, and it very well may be still, he said, I want one more guy. Go get me one more quarterback to really put the pressure on those other two kids. And also kind of give them a little bit of breathing room and a sigh of relief and thinking, hey, if one or two of these guys go down, we still have somebody that's not a freshman or a redshirt freshman that has zero experience. So they're not going to run into that problem unless they just get hit with the injury bug from hell. So where does this thing go into training camp? My gut tells me, I don't want to say Nico's the favorite, but I think Nicco is in a position where he can kind of control his own destiny. Okay. He's been here for a while, even if it's under a different system, under different coaching staff, different personnel surrounding him. He's got the most experience of anybody in that room. I think the intangibles are there. The leadership qualities that Rich Rod is looking for is there. There's no telling if Jaylen Henderson will have a second year. Max Brown's a one-year guy. Nicco's somebody that they can build up to for 2026 with. That holds some weight. So I think he kind of controls his destiny, but I wouldn't take that as he's the favorite. If he goes and has a strong fall camp, odds are he's going to be the guy. Jaylen Henderson is, again, for me, like I mentioned earlier in the show, he's got to show that he's this close to Nicco in the passing game. That close. We're neck and neck. If that's the case, you might see Jaylen win the job. For Max Brown, I don't want to count the kid out, but it's a steep hill for him to climb. And Khalil Wilkins, there's a lot of work there to be done from the passing perspective. He's a great running quarterback. The strides that he can make this year, I think, are going to be big. Didn't see a ton of progress last year, but also we didn't really see a whole lot behind the scenes. So we don't know. We're just being told these things. I think this year, with him having a full year under his belt in a college program, things are, for like what it did for Nicco, it's going to start to slow down. So we'll see what kind of steps he can make this year under Rich Rod, an offense, again, that probably fits him a little bit better. Scotty Fox, love the kid's tape. He's a super athlete. I think the future is extremely bright for him, and he could even be a multi-year starter. But we'll see. We'll see how he adapts to the speed of the game, how he understands processing. It might take him a minute. We'll see. But that's kind of my 50,000-foot view of the quarterback situation right now. I get at least 2 to 3 questions every week in the mailbag, it feels like. Some weeks it might be more. That's kind of where I'm at right now. This will probably change a week into spring, or not spring practice, a week into fall practice. It may change 2 weeks into fall practice. And there could be a situation where we don't even know who the starter is going into the Robert Morris game. And if I'm Rich Rodriguez, why reveal it, right? You're probably going to play both guys anyway in terms of Nicco and Jaylen against Robert Morris. At least you hope. You don't want that thing to be tight. You hope that game's over by halftime. You get both guys into the game, and you go into week 2 against Ohio, and they don't know who you're starting. That's the ideal situation. Why reveal it? Why tell everybody? Why tell the whole world now, Nicco's the guy, Jaylen's the guy? You don't have very many advantages as a first-year head coach with a roster that's, so keep every bit of advantage that you have in your back pocket. Not naming the starting quarterback is one of them. That's it for me here today. I'm Schuyler Callihan. Make sure you hit that subscribe button here on our YouTube page at West Virginia on SI. Again, episodes coming every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday from now all the way through the end of football season. And we'll be here. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. Be back here tomorrow. Peace.